It's great to be with you. And you know what's interesting to me is how broad digital disruption is. And it brings together incredibly diverse groups of people. Diverse in terms of the industries that we represent and the roles that we play inside of those industries. Digital disruption is literally something that is changing the landscape of enterprises in a way that no other transformation has happened, I would say, in our lifetime. There have been several waves of enterprise disruption that have gone on. You think of the back office disruption. Think of the front office disruption. Those were big waves around technology, but they were all about how enterprises worked internally, right? They were about how enterprises and companies became more efficient internally. Well, we've now passed both the back office wave and we've passed the front office wave, and we're into a new wave that we call the experience business wave. And what is unique about this specific wave is that it isn't about us as businesses becoming more efficient. It's about how we externalize everything we do for the consumer. It's how we literally take the multi-hundred-million-dollar businesses or the billion-dollar businesses that you represent and put them on a screen in front of a consumer. Or how you put them on a screen and put them in the pocket of the consumer. It is the biggest disruption that enterprises have seen in the last 60 years. And it's transforming at its core how enterprises do what they do, which is why we're all here today. Because this is a topic that has literally reached the boardroom. It's the C-suite discussion that's changing how companies invest. And we all are at the forefront of this wave. So it's exciting. One of the best parts of my job is to be able to come and interact with all of you folks around the world and hear the stories, whether it's in aviation, whether it's in a lighting control company, whether it's in a CPG company or retail or FSI, and to see how we're all wrapping around the consumer. It's fabulous. So we're going to talk today about some of these disruptions. We're going to talk about how our organizations are wrapping around these disruptions, and we're going to talk about a recipe and some things that we as leaders in disruption, we in this room as leaders, things that we can do. So the way we view this is that today consumers no longer just want to buy products or services. They want experiences. They want the experience of browsing for, of shopping, of buying, of consuming what you build, right? Think of some simple examples, right? A latte is no longer just a latte. Coffee has become one of these experiential things that we enjoy. You go to the coffee shop, you enjoy the music, you enjoy the ambiance, you even enjoy being able to order that coffee on your phone and pick it up on the go. Think about it in banking. Industries as boring as banking. No offense to those of you that raised your hand around FSI. But now banking has even become sexy. I've got an app. I can open my app and check my balance. I can transfer funds. I can send my friend money. I can even watch online tutorials to learn about how banking is done. These kinds of things are transforming how we live our life every day. But think about the big consumer electronics that we deal with. The car. The car has become the largest consumer electronics device that we all deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it's no longer just about transportation. It's become an experience pod, down to the voice of the person who's giving us directions. I live in Utah in the United States, and every once in a while I'll get picked up by somebody in an Uber who the directions are being read to them with an English accent or an Aussie accent, because they get to choose how they're communicated with. They get to choose their own playlist. They get to choose their preferential temperature for that vehicle, and how they're transported from A to B has become much more of an experience. And I'll tell you that these experiences only happen when you bring together art and science. Experiences are made up of great content. Content that has to grab you, has to move you, make you feel something, has to catch your eye. But it can't just stop with content, right? It has to be informed by data. Because data is what tells us which content to deliver to an individual and when and how to deliver it. Those two pieces of art and science bring together the opportunity to deliver a great experience. And then, of course, our enterprises are fundamentally going through a re-architecture. We have to change the pipelines that we use to understand data and to deliver and organize content. But all of this stuff wrapped together means that we are right at the forefront of what we call the experience business wave. Now, this wave, it was absolutely inevitable from the time that early digital disruption began decades ago. It never was really a question of if this would happen. It was just a question of when. And I can tell you, from our perspective, it is happening right now. And what that means is that every one of us in this room has to make the commitment to our organization to make experience our business. Because this is where the competition is going to be fought over the next decades. But let's talk about experience. Let's talk about why it's so important. We recently, we did a collaboration with Goldsmiths, University of London, to try and dig under the covers a little bit about experience and what about it was important and how did it specifically impact loyalty. And what we discovered is that great experiences build customer loyalty. In fact, in this Goldsmiths survey, we uncovered that 8 out of 10 participants agreed with the statement, "I am loyal to brands that offer delightful experience." Now that seems fairly intuitive, but this was over other options that focused on things like price or premium quality or strong brand names. So much of it boiled down to experience. And half of those surveyed also said they were excited by brands that used the latest technologies to deliver these experiences to them. But where the survey results, I think, got particularly interesting was around what drives brand loyalty. And we found that European consumers, they want focused, adapted, and relevant experiences from brands. And in fact, nearly 2/3 of consumers feel loyalty to brands that tailor experiences to their needs and to their preferences. And not surprisingly, we found that 76% of European consumers demand transparency on how brands use consumer data. Things like purchase history or recently visited websites. So the bottom line is that we demand these personalized, tailored experiences, but we won't do it at the expense of compromising our personal data and our privacy. And finally, within all the regions of Europe, convenience is of utmost importance. This was surprising to me. In the Benelux countries, 60% of those surveyed chose convenience as the most important consideration when making purchases. So what consumers are telling us is that brands need to offer individually focused, uninterrupted experiences across multiple channels, and that brands need to know us, but they also must respect us. So brand differentiation today is no longer just about product. It's about the experience, and that's what matters. So how do we satisfy our consumers' desires for personal, delightful interactions? And as I meet with Adobe customers around the world, I see successful experience businesses, many of which are represented in this room, and I see the ones that are successful focusing on 4 specific competencies. And I call these the 4 imperatives of an experience business. These are the types of things that you need to focus on in order to deliver against these consumer expectations. It's kind of like a recipe, right? We're in Europe, we all know what a great recipe is. Well, this is your recipe for an experience business. So let's walk through these. The first is that experience businesses are focused on context. Now, I chose that word very specifically. Notice I didn't say data. I think data has been perhaps an overused term for the experience business for the last few years. It's really about context. And context is something that we as humans, we understand intuitively. For example, I may have a business meeting with you this afternoon where we're talking about how Adobe Analytics integrates with Adobe Experience Manager or Adobe Audience Manager. Well, I may meet you again tonight at the reception. We're going to have a totally different conversation. You're not going to be interested in Adobe's product roadmap and how analytics integrates with Audience Manager. But yet, neither one of us has changed. It's the context in which we're interacting that has changed, right? So data is very important only to the extent it can deliver us context. So you must evolve data strategy, as I'm seeing successful companies do around the world, evolve data strategy into a context strategy. And this leads me to the second imperative. Context will give us the cue, right? Context will say, oh, you need to talk to this person about this and do it through this channel. But the only way that we can act on that cue is if we have access to content that is organized in such a way that we can deliver it at scale and very, very fast. So yes, content has to be beautiful. It has to be accessible and inspiring. But when you think about the challenges of organizing that content in a way that you can deliver it not just to an individual, but to 1 million individuals a day worldwide, that's where you start to rethink your complete content supply chain. And that's where you start to design for speed and for scale. So this gets me to the third imperative. So we all know in real life as well as in digital life, relationships are not built on single interactions. In fact, there are a series of interactions that happens when somebody comes to your site, where somebody comes to your app, when somebody goes to a kiosk in your store. Those interactions are made up of decisions that you make in milliseconds. You make and deliver millisecond type experiences over that customer journey, which is what creates loyalty. Understanding me and speaking to me in consistent milliseconds is what will deliver the relationship that I hope to have with a brand. Right? And the journeys, the long customer journeys, only happen if we master the milliseconds. So lastly, the fourth of these imperatives is that, yes, this is about us as enterprises putting consumers first. But let's face it, we could also do a raise of hands and see who has a whole bunch of extra budget laying around for a customer experience initiative. And there I would expect no hands, which we got. We have to find efficiencies in our own businesses to drive this customer experience initiative. And what I find successful businesses doing is they do this through integration. They use data as the catalyst to bring organizations together and get those organizations speaking in a single language and using common repositories of content to deliver that message across email or across web or direct mail or in a call center. And it's the fact that data and content can be a unifier that allows those internal organizational barriers to be broken down, and that's where companies find efficiency. It's also where they find innovation. I have seen time and time again, organizations actually find innovation when you put constraints on them. Constraints of budget, constraints of time. That tends to unlock opportunity inside of organizations because we have to find more efficient, better ways to interact with our consumers. So, this is the recipe to become an experience business. And as I've met with many customers around the world over the last couple of years, it's actually very inspiring to see evidence of companies who are doing this, companies who are making this kind of transformation and even getting ahead of it. And I want to walk you through a few of these. First, let's talk about the automotive industry. Mercedes. Mercedes is one of our customers, and it's a brand that when you see Mercedes, when you say the word Mercedes, you feel something. right? It's such a powerful, iconic brand. But as magnificent as that brand is, and as magnificent as the design and engineering is, what Mercedes has realized is that it's no longer just the steel. It's no longer the paint, right? It's no longer the logo or the icon that they're selling. It's the experience that they can wrap around all of that to make driving be an experience. So they've created a mobile app called the Mercedes Me app. And with this, they've started to build an ecosystem. So they've got an ecosystem of connectivity, infotainment, telematics, big data, machine learning. They use all of this and build that directly into the vehicle. That makes the vehicle smarter. It makes it deliver a more connected, a more personalized experience when the consumer is inside. Next, let's talk about retail. Adidas, second largest manufacturer of apparel in the world, the largest apparel maker in Europe. So the Adidas strategy is how do I develop a strong relationship between its brand and its fans, including the ability to communicate with those fans across any channel and at any time. And when you think of the scale of Adidas, it's a very big challenge. Last year, they introduced Glitch, a football boot with an interchangeable inner and outer skin, giving consumers the ability to fully personalize their footwear. It's available for purchase only through a dedicated mobile app, and Glitch is the first Adidas product built with an entirely digital business model. So not only are they facilitating the mobile experience, but they're also offering a premium experience for their football fans. Right? The Glitch app can arrange a custom fitting, it offers same-day shipping, and even allows Glitch fans to talk to each other through this mobile app. So Adidas is embracing the experience business and is at the forefront of digital innovation. So now let's talk about media and entertainment. Sky. So Sky's priority is to give customers the best experience, driving better loyalty and satisfaction. And Sky's doing this by getting personal. For example, they're applying personalization to television advertisements. Sky AdSmart identifies groups or demographics and then serves TV ads best suited to those households. Viewers can see relevant ads, and the advertiser, of course, realizes the benefits of reaching an audience more likely to purchase their product. And with their enhanced Sky Sports app, Sky understands which football team its customers are following and can use that information to fuel personalization across all its channels. So as I look across these industries and these customers, and I would guess if I looked across all of you in this room that are successfully becoming experienced businesses, what strikes me isn't how different they all are, but how much they have in common, right? Consumers are craving experiences, and each of these successful companies is focused on delivering consumer experience in addition and wrapped around the product or service that they have traditionally delivered. So the challenge here is how do I close the gap between where I am today and where I need to be a successful experience business. So I want to tell you what Adobe's role is. So Adobe, at our core, we are a technology company. That's what we do. We want to build the very best technology for you all to use as you go across this bridge, as you move down this journey of becoming transformed digitally. And we understand that technology is only part of the equation. As I talk to most of you, you tell me, yes, technology is great, but the challenge I've got is much more than technology. It's about how do I change the culture in my organization? How do I think about different KPIs in my teams, and even rearranging my teams so that I'm more efficient when I deliver this digital business disruption. Our job is to help you focus on those pieces while we take care of the technology. And I want to talk to you about where we're putting our energy. Our first piece that I'll tell you about is the Adobe Experience Cloud. This is the first purpose-built system designed to power the experience business. So Adobe Experience Cloud combines industry-leading products with a complete, extensible platform and a robust partner ecosystem. It also includes powerful core services that give you things like shared consumer profiles, centralized assets, and other tools to help you design, deliver, and orchestrate this journey. Let's go a little bit deeper. Within the Experience Cloud, I'm excited to introduce the Adobe Analytics Cloud. So think of this as the core system of intelligence for a business. It informs the experience business. This is what helps you extract context from your online and offline digital data. Next, the Adobe Advertising Cloud. This is the world's largest independent cross-channel advertising platform. Lets you identify and engage the best customers by offering them consistent and relevant advertising experiences. So now all media planning and buying is integrated into one programmatic solution. And finally, Adobe Marketing Cloud. Now, this is the undisputed leader in digital marketing. Want to help you build and personalize experiences that make customers want to visit, want to buy, want to engage, want to come back. Because what you provided them was exactly what they were looking for. So of course, great experiences are not just about powerful data and personalized delivery. They also rely on standout content. And we know that enterprises have to build and deliver more content than they ever have before. And that's why Adobe Experience Cloud is integrated with Adobe Creative Cloud and Adobe Document Cloud. So Adobe Creative Cloud, one-stop shop for everything you need to do for enterprise content. This is Photoshop, it's InDesign, it's Premiere, it's Adobe Stock. So with Adobe Creative Cloud and Experience Cloud, you can streamline and accelerate those creative workflows. Then Adobe Document Cloud. Adobe Document Cloud helps businesses transform from the old paper-based way of doing things to the new paperless, streamless electronic workflows. So working together, Experience Cloud and Document Cloud can reduce the cost of these manual processes that are holding a lot of organizations back. So as you can see, all of the solutions that you currently use today are integral parts of the Adobe Experience Cloud and will continue to be more integrated and more innovative than ever before. But all of this starts with the platform underneath this, the Adobe Cloud Platform. And I'll tell you that the Adobe Cloud Platform is the single largest investment that Adobe is making in product this year. So this is us putting our money and our resources where our vision is. Just as we all accept the mandate of becoming an experience business, at Adobe, we accept the mandate of helping you all get there with the world's best technology. So we are absolutely committed to innovation. We're committed to helping you transform your organizations. And while you transform your organizations, you're going to transform your own careers. This is Adobe's commitment. We are so proud to be on this journey with you, and thank you for your time here this morning.